Welcome back to TeleportHQ. Today we're introducing our new grid helper. To begin, we're going to add a container to the canvas. We'll make this container occupy the entire screen, so we'll give it a 100% width and a 100 viewport height size. To turn any container into a grid, go to the right panel and from the inner layout section choose the grid icon. Once you do this, you'll notice that a new icon has appeared just above the container. Clicking on this icon will enable the new grid builder on top of the container. As you can see, immediately after being enabled, the grid builder will display only one column and one row. To add more columns to the grid, you can use the plus button on the right side of the grid, and to add more rows, the plus button on the bottom. With this, we now have a layout in which we can define the grid's child elements. To add a new child, select one of the grid elements and click the plus button inside. This will be the starting point from which you can expand the container using the arrow icons inside of it. Basically, this is the way in which you can define any grid, no matter how complex it is. Now that we've gone over the basics, let's apply this to a real situation. We'll add a new full-screen container, and this time we'll build the layout that you would use for a dashboard. Just like before, we're going to set the display to grid and activate the grid helper using the icon above the container. For this dashboard example, we'll create a layout made up of 12 columns, which is a common practice used in UX creation. Finally, we'll also add a few rows to the layout. The first element that we'll define for this dashboard will be a sidebar. We'll make it 2 columns wide and from top to bottom. Next, we'll make a header using the top row of the layout, and we'll use the remaining space for the content section. This is a very simplistic explanation as to how you could use the grid helper to create a dashboard layout. The size of a grid element can also be reduced with this helper to make room for other elements. For example, we could decide to add a widget section for the dashboard. To do this, we could decrease the space from the content section and create a 2-column structure on the right side. And with that, we have a grid structure for a dashboard that we can now build upon and add other containers, text elements, graphs, and more. And as you can see, it's responsive by default, and additional adjustments can be made for each media query. Have fun with the new grid helper.